You ready to get into the Zach?
I did not look at the coaches poll until just now. Are the coaches out of their mind with Georgia?
Where they put Georgia? I didn't see that.
They put Georgia 5th over Ohio State. What has Georgia done? They're mid, and it's actually going to be my launching point in the AP poll. So just forget that. Anyway,
here's the AP poll for Zach's.
Georgia's mid. That's my frustration.
All right. Let me deliver the poll to the podcasters if they've not heard it yet. So if you're listening on podcast, if you're on YouTube, you see the graphic next to me. If you're listening on podcast, I will list it out for you very fast. At number 1, you have Indiana, followed by Miami, Ole Miss, Oregon, Ohio State at 5, Georgia, Texas Tech, Texas A&M, Alabama, Notre Dame at 10, followed by BYU, Texas, Oklahoma, Utah, Vanderbilt at number 15. Notice how I haven't said Iowa yet. Virginia, Iowa, Tulane, James Madison, USC at number 20, followed by Michigan, Houston, Navy, North Texas, and TCU. Rounding it out, TCU barely makes it, just 2 points ahead of Illinois. Illinois and Washington were your first 2 teams that did not your first 2 Big Ten teams, your first 2 teams in all of college football that were right on the outside looking in of the top 25 here. Illinois just 2 points away from passing TCU up there. If you look at the conference count, the SEC had 7, followed by the Big Ten with 6, Big 12 with 5. The American, yes, the G5 conference had 3. The ACC had 2. Holy cow. And the Independents had 1, and the Sun Belt had 1 as well. So, Zach, all that information, where would you like to start looking at this AP Top 25 and picking it apart?
Ole Miss is a great story. There's no way at all that they are the number 3 team.
Yeah.
That you cannot put them above Oregon. Like I can
did it all year. They did it all year.
Oh, I know. And it's absurd.
Yeah.
Listen, I get that you want to penalize Oregon for getting blown out against Indiana. I understand that. Oregon lost to one team twice. They're the national champions. They beat Texas Tech, your number 7 team, by 23 points. Oregon beat USC. Oregon beat Iowa. What did Ole Miss do? They beat a mid-Georgia team who's overrated because they beat a bad Alabama team who's overrated. Just all of this. We cannot escape SEC bias, despite the fact that the Big Ten has won 3 straight national championships. Like it goes to Vandy, Vandy over Iowa. These pollsters, do they not pay attention?
You still had 2 pollsters voting Missouri in, I think it was.
They need to. I know that they reveal these polls, but they need to like plaster them and then have like the worst 10 pollsters like banned from the poll for at least 5 years.
Yeah. I mean, in all honesty, like the top 25 here doesn't really matter that much. Honestly, it's the end of the season. We all know who the national championship is.
Wait, no. Let me be upset about this. Let me be upset about this.
You can't be upset. I'm not saying you can't be upset. There's a but. So it doesn't really matter all that much. But I do think it's very interesting to see where the perception is of a lot of people, especially with the Big Ten showing that they are no doubt the best conference in all of college football, and to see if the Big Ten teams get that respect. I understand the AP poll is going to put the 4 teams that were in the top 4 in the top 4. I don't agree with it, but it is what it is. It's what they're going to do. I don't understand only moving Oregon up 1 spot when they shut out a Texas Tech team, right? Like you shut out a Texas Tech team and beat them really well. And then Ole Miss, yes, they almost beat Miami, but I mean, do we really think that Ole Miss was going to give any type of game to Indiana or anything like that? I don't think so. But at the end of the day, Oregon can't get blown out like that. I get it. it is what it is. So as far as like the top 10 goes, I really don't have all that much for it. It is what it is. I don't like it, but whatever. It's fine.
I'm gonna, one of our listeners, I'm just gonna put this up. OSU got exposed, barely a top 10 team, Chuck Cribbs. And then he follows it up with Texas Tech has no offense. I'm just gonna push back because this is what pollsters do all the time to marginalize Big Ten teams and then elevate SEC teams. Okay. Like, so OSU is overrated or got exposed, barely a top 10 team. They lost to the national champions by 3 and had a chance to beat the national runners up. And they were exposed. They're barely a top 10 team based on what? Like, what are you talking about? Like, is Georgia better? I mean, no offense. Georgia was mid. Texas Tech, you're right. Texas Tech has no offense. That defense was still nasty, and Oregon beat them by 3 scores. Okay? I think Ohio State's appropriately rated, by the way. I actually don't have a problem with Ole Miss being in the top 4 because they were in the semis. No problem with that. I just have an issue with Oregon. But when people come in there and say, well, OSU was exposed, okay, facts, people. Like, who did Ohio State lose to? They lost to 2 teams by the national champs and the national runners-up by a combined 13 points. That's not being exposed. They were really good. They just weren't the best team or the second best team in the country, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't love this thing. I'm going to take a quick break because my dog's about to go crazy. So,
all right. Yeah, I don't have any problem with Ohio State at 5. It is what it is. I mean, do I think they're a better team than Oregon? I do think they are, but at the end of the day, like, they didn't show it. You know, if you don't want that to happen, go beat Miami. So it is what it is. So I as far as everything else goes, like, to me, the most egregious stuff on here is Vanderbilt above Iowa, and probably the most egregious
ridiculous.
thing about this is that Iowa beat Vanderbilt. Iowa beat Vanderbilt, and then Vanderbilt moves down 2 spots. Iowa doesn't move at all. Like, Iowa gets that win, and they don't even move at all. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And it's just kind of classic AP poll voter crap out there. Top 25, it is what it is. But I would guess there was a whole lot of voters that were just kind of done with this and just kind of like randomly put in their stuff and probably didn't even remember where they had teams last time.
They mailed it in.
It doesn't look like they tried all that hard. Now, you know me, I'm a Big Ten guy. I'm going to stump for the Big Ten, when it's applicable to do so. But I don't think that USC should have been above TCU. If you're going to have TCU in there, probably should put TCU above USC, right? Like, if we're going to be consistent.
Well, I might just, like, USC had, both TCU and USC had a lot of people out for that game. So, like, I can understand. I actually would push that TCU. I think Illinois should be ahead of TCU because Illinois beat a complete SC team, whereas TCU.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. Not. Yeah, I think Illinois should be ranked. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, for consistency purposes, if I'm going to sit up here and say that, Iowa should be above Vanderbilt, then, I think TCU should probably be above USC. And I get it. Vanderbilt did play their team. USC didn't play all their team. But, as far as I'm concerned, I don't like that excuse. I think you got to play the game. And if you don't have guys on your team, deal with it. Go out there and win. So it is what it is. I do find it interesting that Michigan is 21st because if you look at last year, Zach, this is just it. It is the failure of self-awareness by the AP poll, and not all of the voters in the AP poll last year were in the AP poll this year. So I get that.
Mm-hmm.
But last year, Michigan finished 8-5. Okay, not a terrible record, not a great record. 8-5. Okay, they had wins over Ohio State and Alabama to end the season, and that matters, right? Those are two big brands, two big teams. Ohio State was the number 2 team in the nation. When they beat them at Ohio State. They beat Alabama in the bowl game, and they finish unranked in the number, if you go by points, the number 29th spot. So within the top 30, almost there, but not ranked. Michigan this season has 0 wins over any ranked teams. I mean, Michigan had a pretty cupcake schedule this year. They go 9-4, and they're ranked 21st. Michigan last year was better than Michigan this year. It further cements the idea to me that none of the scheduling stuff that we talk about with out of conference scheduling, all that stuff, none of it actually matters, because all they're going to do is just look at your wins and losses, and at the end of the day say, here's where you belong. Unless you're Alabama, in that case they don't care about your wins and losses, but everybody else they do care about. And then they're just kind of, pick and choose a little bit here and there, and they're not going to honor, who actually beat who or anything like that. It's all crazy.
Yeah. It's a reminder that helmet logo bias is still real. And like, I'm reaming out them doing it for the SEC, but it's true in the Big Ten too. Like Michigan, like what separates Michigan from Illinois and like, I know Michigan beat Washington, but like what separates Michigan from Illinois? And like, I'd argue not much, but Michigan has a bigger brand.
Yeah. I mean, if Illinois didn't lose to Wisconsin, they'd be ranked above them.
Right. But they have the same record. Like they're both 9-4.
Yeah.
Like that's like Michigan, Illinois, Washington, all 9-4. Like Michigan.
Right. I'm just saying like that.
Washington.
I totally agree with you. I think Illinois is a better team than Michigan. I had them above them in my power rankings. But Illinois can't go out there and lose to Wisconsin. Like, I'm sorry. I hate it too. I want Illinois to do well, but you lose to Wisconsin, that's what happens, So Zach pulled this stat today and put it on Twitter. The SEC has not increased the number of ranked teams from the preseason AP poll to the final AP poll for 7 straight years. In 2019, in the preseason poll, they had 6 teams ranked. They finished with 5s. In 2020, they had 7 teams ranked. They finished with 4. In 2021, they had 5. They finished with 5. In 2022, they had 6. They finished with 6. In 2023, they started with 6. They ended with 6. In 2024, they started with 9. I don't know how you don't win a national championship or anything, and apparently everybody's just better. So you start with 9. They ended with 7. And then in 2025, they set the record for the most teams ranked in a preseason AP poll for a conference with 10, and they finish with 7 this season. I feel like I know your answer to this, Zach, but is the SEC maybe a little bit overrated?
A little? A little?
Yeah.
Massively.
Yeah.
Listen, Georgia, Texas, and I'm just going to say this. It's not just that they're overrated, but they're still overrated. Like we just talked about, Vandy's over Iowa. What are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, what do we do? Texas and Oklahoma are 12th and 13th. Does anyone, like, if Utah and Oklahoma, I know we make fun of hypotheticals all the time, but like if Utah and Oklahoma lined up today, like what's the line on that game? Like Utah by 7?
Yeah. Probably not 7. Probably by 3. I would say.
Okay. Let's play a game here for a minute. Iowa versus Oklahoma. Who are you taking?
Oh, Iowa.
Iowa versus Texas. Who are you taking?
Close, but probably Iowa.
Iowa versus Alabama. Who are you taking?
Well, I think Texas is better than Alabama, so Iowa.
Iowa versus Texas A&M. Who are you taking?
I think Texas is better than Texas A&M, so Iowa.
Iowa versus Georgia. Who are you taking?
I'll still take Georgia.
Yeah, that's where but okay. I think, and again, we're playing the hypothetical game, but there is still this mystique with these teams that it's going to take a while for it to die. Like, and I get Texas A&M beat Notre Dame, but in what planet did you see Alabama play their last 3 games and think, yeah, Notre Dame is definitely not as good as Alabama? Like, now I get it. There's a playoff bump. Like, I get there's caveats everywhere. But if we're just saying, okay, if you look at metrics and if you look at efficiency rankings and all these things, I mean, you look at Sagarin. You know where Alabama is at Sagarin right now? 14th.
Outside. Oh, okay.
They're 14th. They are below Iowa. They're below Penn State. They are below Utah. I mean, you look at Texas A&M's 13th. Vanderbilt's 15th.
Yeah.
Oklahoma's 17th. Right? So it's not just like, yes, they ended with less teams, but look at where they're ranked. You know what that's going to do next year? You know how many teams are going to be in everybody's AP top 25 next year? We're going to deal with this for the next 5 years until people finally get it through their thick heads that the SEC is not all that anymore.
Well, and thankfully this isn't the first poll for next year, right? This is the AP poll that ends the year. I do think it's going to impact some people's decision-making process and stuff like that. But I do think that people are going to be smarter with their top 25s next year than just trying to add in all these things. And maybe I have false hope there.
I think some voters really take their job seriously.
Yeah.
And I think some voters, I'll just say this. I think some voters, some voters, they want to do a good job, but they don't have the time because they just shouldn't be they shouldn't be voters because they don't have the time. And then there's a couple of people who just kind of mail it in.
Mm-hmm.
But they're going to keep those voters, the ones that don't have time and the ones that just mail it in, they're going to keep doing this, and it's going to keep controlling the perception of the sport to a degree.
Mm-hmm.